So we have a motion to adopt proclamation number 2 of 23, proclaiming January 22nd as the Lunar New Year in Center County.
I would like to move that we adopt Proclamation 2 of 2023, proclaiming January 22nd, 2023, as the Lunar New Year in Center County.
I will probably second that.
All right. All those in favor of adopting proclamation number 2, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We're just so excited.
Well done.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you for being here.
Thanks, folks.
Thanks. All right, now we will move to resolution number 3 of 23, and Faith is all ready to go. This is a resolution authorizing the filing of a proposal for funds through the Department of Community and Economic Development for the Whole Home Repair Program, which is a really cool new program that Faith will tell us all
All
about.
right. If it's okay with you, I'm going to combine the resolution with the first contract item, which is really just it's the same material, just depending on the forms that need to be signed. So today I'm in front of you in regards to the Whole Home Repair Program with this resolution as we move forward in Center County. As you may be aware, counties across the Commonwealth were allocated dollars that we were able to apply for, and we do need to apply for the program by 5 o'clock on January 31st, which we're in good shape to be able to complete once we get the resolution approved and signed. So what we're looking at here in Center County is starting the program by really kind of identifying what the needs are. That's what's really unique about this program, is that there's a lot of flexibility to take the time through the Office of Adult Services to see what the needs are, both through existing programs and wait lists, and also through programs through our department and other human service departments such as Aging, Children, Youth, Veterans Affairs, Transportation, and MHID. So once we're able to identify that need, we'll be able to move forward with some of our providers, some of our partners, those at the Home Foundation, which is a sister agency to Housing Transitions. We have other municipalities that are at the table with us, places like Habitat for Humanity, to see how we can best utilize the program in Center County. And so that's how we're going to apply, and really just kind of identify all of those who have been so wonderful and gracious to come to the table and have these discussions with us. And then once we better identify what we want to be able to do and what we're capable of doing in Center County, we'll be able to move forward and identify subrecipients and develop a program that we can speak a little bit more to the community. And so that's what we're here for today, is really just your approval to move forward and get the application submitted so we can get rolling.
Wonderful. So perhaps we'll do the resolution, and then we'll move to the actual contract so you can mention the dollar amount, because it's a much larger
Yes.
dollar amount than usual.
Absolutely.
So can we have a motion to adopt resolution number 3?
I'll move that we adopt Resolution Number 3 of 2023, authorizing the filing of a proposal for funds through DCED for the Whole Home Repair Program.
I will second that.
All right, all those in favor of adopting resolution number 3, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. All right, Faith.
Great.
So now we'll move to the contract side.
Awesome.
For the grant application. Why don't you tell us how much money is in it?
Absolutely. So Center County has been allocated $1,360,590 from the state of Pennsylvania, which is what we are expecting once the application is submitted. So with that funding, we need to address habitability and safety concerns. We have to provide measures to improve energy or water efficiency, make units accessible for individuals with disabilities, and we also have to invest in the workforce development programs in Center County, which we may be able to do through tech schools like CPI, connect with CareerLink, work with builders associations to find contractors and other folks that may need certifications. Again, that's all really kind of under development. And another portion of the funding, again, will be looking at my department, the Office of Adult Services, to have a caseworker, case managers, and other supervisors on board to be able to, again, identify those needs, work with partners, help folks that might be calling in that we may or may not be able to serve but can connect to other services, because we do know that there is quite a need out there for our homeowners. For a department that's been running a major rental assistance program, we know that since the beginning of the pandemic, we've had so many homeowners reach out to us in various need, whether it be home repair or just mortgage assistance. Mortgage assistance, of course, is not a part of this, but we do just want to recognize how much of a need there is out there for that portion of the county. So, yep.
Thanks for your work on this. I'm really glad to hear that the DCED is extending this kind of grant program. We know, certainly for folks who may have accessibility concerns, being able to make an investment in accessibility to their home might make the difference of being able to stay in their home rather than needing to move into an assisted living space. And, I'm eager to get this program sort of outlined and framed out so that we can make the most impact possible with those dollars.
Absolutely.
Well, I think the real beauty of this is that it is construction. We're going to be actually improving people's domiciles, and their houses oftentimes are in, there's a lot of houses out there that are in disrepair, and this will be the opportunity not only to do the accessibility thing, but also to make them habitable, and maybe situations that folks aren't able to stay in their home if they don't do something dramatic. Now the challenge, of course, is going to be finding all the contractors to do all the work, and therein lies the real work, is to organize that. But I think we applaud your office for taking this on, and all the other partners throughout not only the county organization, but all the not-for-profits and everybody else it's going to take to make this effective. So congratulations and well done.
Thank you.
Yes, I thought our meeting last week was very productive at one of Commissioner Concepcion's first informational meetings, and it's always fabulous to talk about something like this because it's like an order of magnitude larger than we normally see. And so we would like to thank the state legislature and the governor for the opportunity. We have especially tight relationships with the Deputy Secretary at DCED on this project. Call out to Rick Vilello. So very excited, and I believe we'll actually have the funds, late February, early March?
Yeah, so they're rolling applications. So my understanding is that once they're submitted by the deadline, or even if before, it's assumingly approved as long as everything is there, and then we'll wait and see when funds roll in. And so once they do, we'll get started. It seems like it'll be a pretty quick turnover.
It'll take us a bit of time to organize all the
Yes.
P's and Q's, though, I think. So we're going to need a little bit of time to get things rolling.
Absolutely.
Program you guys going.
Absolutely, yep.
We mentioned that the upper limit per residence, I think, is almost $50,000.
Yeah, it's 80% AMI.
Right. And
Correct. Yep.
That's also another part of the flexibility with this program is Center County is kind of a middle-class county, so 80% of the average gross income is actually a pretty good-sized number. So to Steve's point, we can take a lot of homes that people have been living in for a while that they don't quite have the skills or the funds to keep up anymore. Not only will we be benefiting them, but that residence will be available for future generations as well.
Absolutely.
In particular, our senior population, I think, will benefit greatly from these programs, because there'll be an opportunity to not only address the accessibility issues, but also make sure that the houses are safe and warm in the winter.
Absolutely.
I will move that we approve the grant application to the Department of Community and Economic Development for the Whole Home Repairs Program.
All right, all those in favor of approving the grant application to DCED for the whole home repairs program, do so by stating aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much, Faith.
Yep,
And
absolutely.
I believe you have multiple other contracts.
Yeah, I have 4 more contracts. They're all with Service Access, Access and Management Inc., or SAM Inc., as we call them. So I'll just run down them here real quick, and then certainly happy to answer any questions that you may have. So the first contract is a contract addendum with SAM. It is to increase their 2022 contract for the Emergency Rental Assistance Program, or ERAP, their administrative assistance. So again, that is the service they provide us by cutting checks to landlords and utility companies. We increased that at the end of the calendar year by $1,409,007.78, and that was really just to cover the additional direct services for rental and utility that exceeded the original contract. So at the end of the day, we'd be looking at a $9,309,007.78 for the period of January 1 to December 31st of 2022. The second is also a contract addendum. It's the second addendum for this particular contract with SAM Inc. It's really just to increase the timeline. So as you may recall, I feel like we've come up here with this a couple of different times for our Fair Rental Assistance Program. Since we had so many rental assistance programs from CARES to ERAP come into our department since the beginning of COVID, we had fair grant dollars that we have expended, and we did expend on time, but we had some county match that we still needed to spend. And so we've actually prioritized our county match to spend down. We've put our RAP funding through the block grant kind of on hold until we spend it down, which really maximizes the program. And really then in response, we just had to extend the contract with SAM to continue providing that same administrative assistance. And so we're just asking that it be extended with the original end date of being December 31st, 2022 to June 30th, 2023. We may expend the funds before that, but we thought that would line up with our fiscal year. The third is a contract renewal with SAM. This is for their financial management services. So we've been doing this in the Office of Adult Services for the past couple of years, where we no longer have a financial tech or anybody that's employed through the department, but we use SAM Inc. for all of our financial and fiscal needs. And again, that would be for the year of 2023. And then the final is a contract renewal with SAM Inc., and this is to continue providing the emergency rental assistance, administrative assistance in 2023. We did a contract total of $2 million, which is a lot less or more significant decrease from previous contracts. The reason for that is because the ERAP program has changed a bit as we near the end, and we also reduced their administrative fee from 3% to 1.5% after some further evaluation. And so that worked out for all partners, and we're happy to move forward with them to finish out the program. I did.
Do you have any questions from the press? Because we are talking about major investments here in rental assistance and home repair. No? All right. Well, Commissioner Concepcion, anything else?
Thanks for presenting this. And so you've been happy with the services of this company in providing this administrative work?
Yeah, and especially for the administrative piece, we've worked with them for years on that. And I have to say, especially, again, previous program, CARES Rent Relief, and then also with ERAP, what's been really helpful for us is the speed in which they can process a check. So when we're working with a household and a landlord and we make that award and approval, a check goes out within a day or two. Whereas we all know that if we went through the county, it would be a real challenge and a delay, and we knew how much that would hurt our landlords that were waiting on those funds. So we are very, very appreciative of not only how fast they work for us, but how much they have supported us. We have to do monthly reports within 10 calendar days into the following calendar. You know, we're talking $1 million that have to be reconciled, and so they really have stepped up and helped us through a major, major program. So, yes.
Well, I think SAM has proven itself over the last decade or so to their value to our organization. They started with MHID and have kind of expanded out to just about every one of the human service offices. So I want to thank you for keeping that relationship strong and healthy, and hopefully we'll continue it for a very long time. So thank you.
Thank you.
So I will move to add the adult services item to next week's consent agenda.
All those in favor of adding the adult? Second it. Very good. All those in favor of adding the adult services items 2 through 5 to next week's consent agenda, do so by stating aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign, and the motion carries. Thanks, Kate.
All right. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
All right, now I think we move to MHID, EI, drug and alcohol, and Kathy's all ready to go.
Yes. Good morning. We have two items for the commissioners this morning. The first is we ask that you consider approving a letter of agreement with IFC Services, Inc. to provide intellectual disability services. This includes respite, in-home community supports, overnight respite, and transportation. This contract total is estimated at $7,500. This is mostly state funding and a county match of $346. This is for the time period June 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023. I'd like to take a moment to extend our appreciation to IFC Services. They were extremely helpful in supporting us as we supported a young man who needed extensive respite support until a permanent placement could be arranged for him. So we appreciate their support and are putting this letter of agreement in place in particular to reimburse them for some costs during that time. The second is a contract renewal with Housing Transitions, Inc. to provide drug and alcohol services, including emergency housing assistance for our eligible drug and alcohol clients. This contract total is estimated at $10,000. It is also primarily state funds and a county match of $461, and is for the time period July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023.
Thank you, Kathy.
Oh, good.
Let's have a motion now.
Okay, I'll move that we add the MHID, EI, D, and A items 1 and 2 to next week's consent agenda.
Motion and second. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thanks, Kathy.
Thank you.
It looks like we have Ryan from probation ready to talk about some grant funding.
Good morning. I'm here for discussion and approval for the annual grant and aid that our department receives. We receive a standard amount of $99,500 that we usually allocate those funds for individuals in our office that should fully fund our adult supervisor and partially fund another adult probation officer. I'm still in the process of completing that grant. Once I do complete it officially, I will send it off for you. However, because of the quick turnaround, the deadline is February 8th. I needed to have this presented today and approval on the same date as well.
All right. And, is this going to be an electronic approval? Or
Yeah, through PCCD. Yep.
Okay. For some reason, it seemed we need a little more time.
Yeah.
Commissioner Such, any questions?
I don't have any questions, thank you.
Good. Good. All right. Have a motion.
All right, I'll move to approve the continuing county adult probation and parole grants funds with PCCD.
Motion is second for immediate approval of the continuing county adult probation and payroll grants funds. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thanks,
Okay,
Ryan.
thank you.
All right. Now something that's a little different than usual. We have our Register of Wills, Christine Millender, to consider an agreement to provide digital records.
Because our situations are very similar,
Yeah.
instead of discussing them separately, we
Oh,
just do it
at the
together.
same time.
That's
All right. And did we potentially have another guest from the
Yes,
Historic
Pam
Society?
McCloskey, she had to be in Tyrone, so she, yes, so sorry about that. But to give you a little bit of background, several months ago, Joe and I were approached from Robin and Pam McCloskey, who is the president of the Genealogy Society in Center County, and also the Milesburg Museum and Historical Society. They were meeting with a Utah-based company out of Utah, which is called Family Search, and it's a division of the Latter-day Saints, right? And what they primarily do is we've met them at our conferences where they will come in and digitize the county records for free. So that they can also use them on their sites for genealogy, and then they provide the counties with all of the free images, if the funds weren't there. Well, Center County my office had already been completely imaged, so I didn't have the need, for them to come into my office, but they had all reached out to the Historical Museum to see if they could actually come in. Some of those images are very, very hard to read. They're onion skin, they were front and back pages, they're just really hard, the ones that I already have done. But they are going to bring specialized cameras in to actually pull the records at the Historical Society to actually take pictures and hopefully get a better format. There is no charge for Center County to receive a copy of this as long as we allow them to use our records. They're asking me to do a contract agreement with them because I oversee those records even though they're housed at the Historical Library. They will not be using any current indexes or anything that I have established. They're going to go in and have people working in the library to take photographs and hopefully get better images that they will then share with Center County for their use. So I am really just asking for you to approve the agreement for them to go in and open the records. They will not take them out of the Historical Museum, and there will always be somebody there, watching what they're doing. So again, there's no monies exchanged. which is a little bit different than what Joe's doing. So that's kind of my version of it.
Since we have two separate offices, we probably should do two different
Right,
actions.
right.
Commissioner Purcell, any questions?
So I assume this company probably has insurance so in case of any damage.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I can't remember. I know that
Yeah.
that was discussed,
Yep.
yes. And we did meet with Betsy and John, and Betsy has gone over the agreements and the contracts as well, so.
And I presume they've worked for other counties and done,
They have, I think
and,
Joe has
yeah.
a list of
I'd just be curious to see who else they've worked with and
Cambria, Montour, and Bedford are some of the most recent ones they've worked with, and there's about a 12 to 18 throughout the Pennsylvania that they've done over the years.
And I guess, I presume that, that these are all public records anyways,
They are.
that they would have access to regardless of,
They already do.
Right.
They have access to them on my website, and they have access to walk into the library and look at them.
Right.
So everything is public information.
okay, I understand.
Unless there's any questions, do we have a motion?
I will move that we add the contract with Family Search International to next week's consent agenda.
I was like,
There's a motion and a second for the contract with the Register of Wills. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And thanks, Christine. I'll move over to Recorder of Deeds.
Yeah, again, I was asked to sit in on the meetings with the library and the Historical Society and Christine, and when it came time to ask them about my records, I said, yes, they're all digitized already, and we have an electronic index for such, and they were very interested in obtaining those from the Recorder of Deeds office. And their proposal is asking for the records from 1800, when Center County started, to 1940. And there will be some staff time and resources devoted to getting those in the digital format that they want them. And so we negotiated a fee that Family Search is going to pay Center County $750 for us to give them those records from 1800 to 1940 in the format that and the manner that they want them. So.
That's wonderful. Any
So-
questions, Commissioner Sumption?
I assume these are probably kind of fragile documents, and they have a lot of experience working with fragile.
Well, they're not going to be fragile at all because all mine are already digital.
Oh, even from
They're images.
1800 to 1940, they're all.
Yes.
I see. Okay.
Everything is all digitally imaged already, and the index will be provided to them in a text delineated format.
Okay.
So, some of Christine's records, I understand, they're not necessarily indexed, are they?
No.
But mine are indexed, and it makes it much more valuable for them to get the index in addition to the image, so they don't have to create their own. So there'll be an index that's by grantor and grantee, and then the document dates and the municipalities.
just a couple of questions, but the first one is, will they be improving your document images as well, to indicate, or,
They will probably be improving some of Christine's images that they get. My images have already been QC'd and re-imaged several times, so I believe that we probably have the best image we're ever going to get from those older documents. What they will be doing, though, and it's a great benefit, I believe, for both offices, is they'll be saving an archive backed up copy that's off-site, that's available to us at any time if we need it. In terms of disaster recovery or something, although all of our documents are backed up in several different spots according to good disaster and planning standards. This is yet another avenue where all these images, and for my case at least, the indexes will be backed up in a site far away from here in Utah.
I know you've been very proactive, Joe, making sure that your warrants and deeds and everything have been recorded and digitized for quite a while, and I know as you have, Christine. So this will just be a database for their ability to to do research and trace family lineage, et cetera.
Right, it's exclusively for family search purposes. They have agreed not to sell it or distribute it to any third party for any commercial purposes.
Just one additional question. So members of the public who may live in Center County would be able to access that family search service as well, if they're interested in.
Correct, and that's free, yeah. And they can access all the documents on Webbia now for a small subscription charge, but, and the family search is another avenue where they could go and get these historical documents back to 1940.
So it sounds like it's an asset to Center County citizens as well, then. Okay. All right. Great. So I will move that we add the agreement with Family Search International to next week's consent agenda. Okay.
All those in favor of approving the agreement with Family Search International for the recorder of deeds, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
Thank you.
I don't know if, we have a question.
So they are focusing on information in your two offices. In other words, court records, Pathonetari's office is not included in the search?
Not to my knowledge at this time. I don't recall them saying anything about that. I mean, not saying that they wouldn't approach them at some time later.
I don't know that the pathonetary records are germane to ancestry and type research. Probably the recorder, land records and marriage and birth records are more attuned to what they are looking for in terms of ancestry lineage.
Will and estate records is also what they will be using for mine as well.
We see advertisements for various organizations and companies that offer to help you track your family history. Will they be able to sell this information?
According to the agreement, no. It's exclusively for use by Family Search.
That's all I have, thanks.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
And now we have an item for the Conservation District. I believe we have Jim Coslow and Aaron and Nick. Jim's out in the hallway, or?
Doesn't look like Jim was able to make it, but hi, good morning. I'm Erin Latavik. I'm a civil engineer with HRG. We've been your countywide action plan coordinator now for 3 or 4 years. We started in 2020, so great to meet you, Commissioner Concepcion. We'll be glad to do an informational session if you want to get up to speed with what we've been up to. But HRG's been in partnership with the Planning Department and now more importantly the Conservation District through this program. You'll remember that we started the project back in 2020. It's been fully funded by DEP to date. In fact, with today's agenda item, Center County will have received nearly $1.5 million from the Department of Environmental Protection. Yes, for Chesapeake Bay water quality improvement, but more importantly for local water quality improvements. So HRG wrote your countywide action plan back in 2020. We actually just updated it again last year. I mentioned to date DEP has funded the project by $1.5 million. To date as well, the plan plan implementation has met about 20% of your nitrogen reduction goals for Center County. So very good results, very good rapid implementation of a plan that's only a few years old now. For today's agenda item, I actually did want to recommend amending the action slightly. What we're asking for today is to add the Center County Community Clean Water Action Plan Coordinator and Project Implementation Grant additional funds request form with the DEP to next week's consent agenda. Next month, we're going to be back to not only request an extension of HRG's contract with Center County, but also to advance subaward contract approvals through the Countywide Action Plan Implementation Block Grant. I think the last time I was here might have been about 6 months ago when we talked about developing a subaward program. Because block grant dollars are awarded to Center County each year, and one of the limitations we recognized was departmental staff time to be able to implement all of those projects simply with the staff that you have on hand. The idea is to increase your capacity to assist local landowners and nonprofit organizations that also do water quality work. So next month, we're going to request approval of a couple contract approvals, basically subawarding nearly $100,000 to nonprofit partners to execute projects above and beyond what the Conservation District can do themselves. I'm happy to answer any questions, but you have a very full agenda. I also wanted to introduce my new colleague, Nick, here. Nick Hupful, he's a former Conservation District employee from Clearfield County, brings a lot to the table to assist district staff with this work, and is also more local than I am. So glad to have a more local partner to assist in the future here.
Welcome, Nick. If I'm hearing correctly, Aaron, you'd like us to add the words additional funds request form after the words project implementation grant?
Exactly.
Roughly? Okay.
That's exactly what the amended action should be, yes.
Is that copacetic with Act 65? That would be my question. I know there's some guidelines that we have to follow when we amend agendas and change actions.
We can definitely have that answer for you before next week's consent agenda approval.
Just to make sure that we...
Yes.
I would definitely like to have a meeting and just, learn more from you about the work you've been doing in regard
Glad
to
to do
water
that.
quality.
It's been a good relationship between the Conservation District and our planning office to get a lot of things done. It's going to involve some major projects that would traditionally not otherwise be funded without these grants.
Already have a 20% reduction in nitrogen this year.
Fantastic. Make a motion. Then I'll move to add the Center County Community Clean Water Action Plan Coordinator Project Implementation Grant and additional funds request form with the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection to next week's consent agenda.
And I will second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign, motion carried.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right, now, move on to Planning and Community Development with Diana Griffith about our Ag Land Preservation Programs. We're kind of going with a theme here.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Every year at this time, we ask you to certify our farmland preservation funds. The state gives us a deadline of January 31st to certify the funds that the county and local municipalities will be contributing. The total amount we certify will determine the state's allocation to our program. So the higher the amount we certify, the higher our allocation will be, and the more farms we can preserve over a year to a year and a half. So we have significant contributions and financial commitments in addition to the county's annual allocation of $80,000. We have up to $224,000 from Half Moon Township to preserve the Joanne Fisher Farm. We have $10,000 from Potter Township to preserve the Cynthia Barker Farm. We have $2,550, that's $2,550, from Ferguson Township to preserve the Harpster Farm, Larry, Suzanne, and Dawn. And then we have $35,633.85 in total interest collected from clean and green rollback tax penalties in 2022. That's the highest amount we've seen for that in quite a while. So, with all of those contributions, on behalf of the Center County Agricultural Land Preservation Board, I ask you to certify $352,183.85 to fund agricultural conservation easements in 2023. That's the highest number we've seen in quite a while. Just to give you a little perspective where we're at with the program right now, Center County now has 59 ag conservation easements preserved through the Commonwealth's program and 6 in progress. We just closed on a farm last week in Ferguson Township. And to date, our board has preserved 785.41 acres. A year from now, we will have preserved 65 farms and 9,495 acres, which means that by the end of 2024, we expect to preserve and celebrate more than 10,000 prime farmland acres preserved in Center County. Do you have any questions?
Thanks for your work. Yeah.
Absolutely. If you would like an orientation to the program, I'm happy to provide that.
Absolutely. Like to do that. Yeah. I think it's just so important for quality of life in our county to be preserving this agricultural land. So.
It is. One of the priority issues that Secretary Redding, Agriculture Secretary, identified is transition. We have a lot of aging farmers who are now wanting to transition to whether they're children or grandchildren or to new owners. And a lot of them want to preserve their farms before they do that so that there will be farmland forever.
That's great news. I remember 7 to 8 years ago when I started on that board, I think we were in the low 40s for the number of farms preserved. Great to hear we're up to at 59 with 6 more in the works. And maybe by 2024, be somewhere near 10,000 acres of preserved farmland in Center County. That's tremendous.
Plan on a celebration.
Big one, yes.
Big one.
Yeah. Commissioner Concepcion, anything else?
Other questions?
Commissioner Gershon? All right.
Then I will move to approve the funding certification for the 2023 program year of the Agricultural and Land Preservation Program.
I will second
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank
Very
you.
good. Great news. All right, now we'll kick it over to John, our administrator, for some capital project updates.
Good morning, Commissioners. Before you, for consideration of approval, is a professional services agreement with our architect, MG Architects, who is overseeing the Center Crest project. There are a couple items that were identified as something that would benefit the project that fall outside the scope of services that we currently have with them, and that is related to site civil, basically plan work for outside of the building. That would be to develop additional parking along the south side of the building on the west wing for use by the elections office, some modest renovations to some landscaped areas, and then a restriping plan for the overall parking lots except for the lower lot, the newer lot that was recently put in. The total is not to exceed $42,350. We're asking for approval.
Questions, Commissioner Concepcion? That's pretty clear. All right.
Okay, I will move to approve the proposal with MG Architects Limited as described on the agenda.
I will second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the proposal with MG Architects. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thanks, John. Move over to Norm with 911 Emergency Communications, an update, I think, on the computer-aided dispatch projects.
Yeah, good morning. We're requesting approval of a contract with RBA Professional Data Systems for IT support for a regional CAD project. RBA was selected by the 5 counties in the Southern Alleghenies 911 Cooperative to provide on-site and remote technical support for the regional CAD project starting February 14th when Center County goes live on the new servers. The total cost of the contract is $56,327.04 for 18 months and is funded by a PEMA grant.
So it's great to hear that new date, Norm, based on my service with the statewide 911 advisory board. Are we going to be one of the first counties cutting over in our region then?
We will be the first county to go to the new servers, and then we'll build the rest of the CAD project from February till August, when the rest of the counties go live.
Please congratulate the staff on the hard work and our being the first in the region. Commissioner Concepcion, any questions?
No questions, but thanks for doing this. Then I'll move to add the contract with RBA Professional Data Systems Incorporated to next week's consent agenda.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the contract do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thanks, Norm.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks to staff. staff for that heavy lift of being first.
All right, will do. Thanks.
Now I think we've got Kristen from Human Resources to talk about a nice project with Penn State.
Yes, I have actually two contracts for you today. The first is with Penn State Executive Programs through Smeal College of Business. We've worked with them to develop a Center County Supervisory Series consisting of 5 modules and half-day sessions, focusing on communications, teamwork, coaching, consistency and action in the workplace, just to further develop some of our supervisors here at the county. This will also include a follow-up session once the series is completed after a few months, just a refresher course for those supervisors to see how they're putting it into action and any struggles that they've had that the trainers can then assist them with. The estimated cost for this is $20,700. It will go through the end of the year. We hope to run this series twice throughout the year so that we can get as many supervisors as we can. It will be paid through PSU in-kind funds. So that's the first contract. Want me to move on to the second one? All right, the second contract is with Applause, Inc. We are looking to implement an employee recognition program for our employees, recognizing their years of service here at the county. It will recognize them at a 1, 5, 10, 15, every 5-year increment. While they're here at the county, they'll receive a notice from Applause, recognizing and offering them a small gift. And the estimated cost for that for this first year is around $15,000, and it'll be run through the Human Resources Office for all employees and recognizing their long service with the county.
County employees. Commissioner Concepcion,
No questions, thank you.
It's a fantastic program. I think it demonstrates a real willingness on our part to look at retention is the important factor that it is.
Yes.
questions from the press? All right.
I will move to add the Human Resources items 1 and 2 to next week's consent agenda.
Second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve the Human Resources items. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kristen. All right, now we have a risk management project. Looks like Natalie will be doing that.
Good morning. So on behalf of Risk Management, and really our COOP committee, we have before you our contract with MCM Consulting Group to provide the completion as well as training and tabletop exercises of a continuity of operations plan. The contract totals $64,692, and you can see the breakdown between P Corp's ability for us to have grant funding contribute toward as well as general funds funding for it. For the period of February 1, 2023 to September 29th, 2023, this COOP plan will provide the county kind of the framework. Actually, Joe mentioned it earlier about disaster plans, right? Each department having their own kind of disaster plans. COOP plan brings that kind of together, so it's overarching. So whether it's a natural disaster, fire, man-made, or whether a renovation and one certain department needs to go and operate differently, so we continue to do the functions that we do under county government. And for the public, this COOP plan will provide every department the opportunity to further development within our IT, our human resources, et cetera, but then provide the county that overall large plan for each of us. They will then provide trainings, and then they will finally, as part of this consulting, do a tabletop exercise with us as well, just so we can kind of see how it actually functions in the event of. And the committee of the COOP was able to vet a variety of different kind of consulting opportunities for us to land with MCM, who most recently did COOP plans for both Juniata and Warren counties.
Yeah, so it sounds like they've worked with other counties, and those counties have been happy with their services.
They have, and not only specifically do they work with those two counties for COOP, they as a consulting firm do a lot of work with both 911 and EMA throughout the Commonwealth as well. And so they're geared in that emergency type of response consulting work.
You mentioned renovations, and I think we have a challenge coming up at our courthouse with some of the construction projects that we have going on over there.
Yeah.
Maybe when they're doing this tabletop exercise, they can throw some of the real life scenarios in for us to look at, and how the impact of replacing those retaining walls might, change the complexion of our court system for a short while.
I think we often think of COOP as that kind of fire, something pandemic, something massive, but it's sometimes our own doing when we have a renovation or something that really, as a county, we have to address. We need to make sure we have that plan in place, so.
I think we could argue that this is maybe not of our doing, but of necessity that we have to look at the structural
landscape.
integrity of those retaining walls.
Yes. So, yeah.
Just a thought.
Yeah.
Then I'll move to add the contract with MCM Consulting Group Incorporated to next week's consent agenda.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor of adding the contract to next week's consent agenda, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Natalie. All right, now we'll move on to the consent agenda, which was actually relatively short. No questions? Nope. All right.
Okay, so I will move to approve this week's consent agenda.
I will second that.
All right, all those in favor of approving this week's consent agenda, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. We'll move to the authorities, boards, and commissions. We have a resignation from our Aging Advisory Council, Gail Miller. We'd like to thank them for their service. If there's any other questions, we just need a motion.
Okay, I will move to approve the resignation of Gail Miller.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Now we move on to Commissioner Concepcion's first check run.
Okay, so in looking through the check run for this week's meeting, one of the items that I took note of was Center Volunteers in Medicine, and I'd like to just recognize that organization for the great work they do in our county. They're a great partner with Center County government in providing medical and dental care to citizens throughout Center County who are in need of that care. So, yeah. Okay, then I will move to approve the check run that is dated January 20th, 2023.
Motion second to approve today's check run of $1,001,319.61. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thanks. Is there an administrator's report?
Nothing to report at this time.
So I think we move on to the voter registration report.
All right. This morning we have 99,754 registered voters in Center County. That's down 34 voters from last report. And the highlight reel indicates we have 42,072 Democratic registrations, 129 Green Party, 612 Libertarian, 13,278 no affiliation, and 40,545 Republican registrations. That leaves all other party members at 3,118. And among those small parties, we have the American Eagle Party. I'd like to recognize the high-soaring American Eagle Party in Center County that has one registration. So, and I'd also like to recognize one of our I guess it's a little special of a precinct. It's precinct number 87, which is Spring Southwest, which votes at the Center County Public Safety Training Site, which is a very good partnership between Center County government and CPI, and it's an opportunity to use that facility in a very, very good way a couple times a year. And Spring Southwest in the last election had 1,371 registered voters. There were 908 ballots cast, which led to a percentage voter turnout of 66.23%. Again, I want to thank everybody that makes it happen out at precinct 67 or 87, and thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thanks, Steve.
Oh, I have one other thing before I forget. Jody from our elections office asked me to convey that election petition packets are available in their office and online at centercountyvotes.gov. So if you're interested in running for a local office, those petition packets are available.
And I believe for those who are actually currently elected, I think your campaign finance reports are due on the 31st.
On the 31st, yes.
Yes.
And the personal ones, yeah.
And the personal ones too, yes. All sorts of deadlines.
Yep.
All right. Well, now I believe we have an executive session report, John?
Yes, the Commissioners met in executive session on January 19th from 10:05 a.m. to 10:12 a.m. to discuss a legal matter, and we are also requesting an additional executive session this morning to discuss legal and personnel matters.
Thank you. We have our public meeting schedule for the remainder of this week. We have 3 meetings on Thursday the 26th and 2 more meetings on Tuesday the 31st. Take questions from the press at this time.
The Upper Bald Eagle Halfmoon Hawk is having a special meeting tonight to discuss the future funding of the Port Matilda EMS. So I'm curious if you have any insight on that situation or any thoughts as those 5 municipalities begin to come to a solution.
Well, I believe the commissioners very much appreciate the local municipalities working together. The state legislature has made it very clear that it's the local municipalities that are in charge of emergency services. It is one of, I believe, the top 6 priorities of the County Commissioners Association statewide is the emergency services crisis. We would, as we have for the last few months, urge everyone to please respond to the appeal from your local ambulance service or your local fire company. I believe 20% response rate is usually what they're hoping and aiming for, but if you could send it in, that would be tremendous. And of course, should anyone in your family need any sort of emergency response, it would be free if you're a member. And if not, you're kind of at the mercy of your insurance company, but I hear a run starts at $600 and it moves up from there really fast. So very much appreciate what the local municipalities are doing there. The county will always lend a listening ear and will assist with grant applications, letters of support, etc. Anything you want to add, Commissioner Concepcion or Commissioner Dershowitz?
I think the major issue here truly is what it would do to not only response time in the event of an emergency, but also what it will do to insurance rates or the availability of insurance for these communities. And I think it's something that needs to be taken very seriously. But it also indicates part of the big issues that emergency medical services are having across this Commonwealth. There are so many efforts and play at the state and at the local level to make these companies sustainable, and I applaud our state folks for moving ahead and actually improving some of particularly the Medicaid funding schedules that these folks have to operate under. But it's important that these services remain viable, and I think it's not only just in the Bald Eagle Valley but across our entire county that we monitor what we can do to help them in their efforts. So.
Great question.
Steve, can you give us any more information on what's in store for the courthouse project?
Well, I did kind of open up the gate for that conversation. The retaining walls, and John probably can add a much clearer flavor as to the technical aspects of it, but the retaining walls on each side of the courthouse are structurally deficient and need to be redone, and that's going to be a major project and a major disruption to our court system. And we're looking at all the options right now and trying to get a better pulse on what it's going to take to actually perform those projects and the impacts it'll have on our courts. But John, you'd be probably better at the technical side.
Sure. So we put out an invitation to bid to 5 firms that we knew would specialize in design build, which means that the company would have the expertise in-house to actually engineer the proposed remedy to the walls and then commence with construction. So we're waiting to hear back on from those companies with the proposals. And then the next step, of course, would be the logistics of it, because as you know, downtown Bellefonte, parking considerations, traffic flow, disruptions to the courts. These are all things that will have to be considered as part of this project. So the logistics surrounding the project will be of an equal magnitude to the actual work that needs to be performed.
Those foundations were put in well over 100 years ago.
Can they reinforce Is it reconstruction you're looking at?
The recommendation is reconstruction. We've done some exploratory work right now. We took some core samples of the walls. It's low air entrained concrete that is holding up the embankments right now, and what limited exploratory work that we've done to this point, we're not seeing much structural integrity behind the actual concrete. We don't know if there's maybe perhaps larger boulders that are deeper back in, but right behind the concrete it looks like just undisturbed natural fill.
So reconstruction, you're talking about tearing down at least part of the current facility?
We're waiting to see what the actual professional designers have to say about it. So we left it kind of open to their interpretation and recommendation as to the best way to move forward.
We're hoping to impact the actual building itself.
Is there money in this year's budget for this project, or are you waiting to hear from contractors for next year?
It was a part of the overall bond issuance that we did. As part of the Centercrest project, we identified 3 particular areas of need. The Centercrest facility, the courthouse, as well as potentially projects here at Willowbank.
It has essentially, Gary, moved from a would like to do to must do project at this point, just due to the severity of the degradation of the fill behind that wall, because the last thing we want is a catastrophic event that would indicate severe damage to the structure of the courthouse. So we're trying to be proactive in that regard.
You must do, it looks like something's going to be done this year.
So
Yes. Go ahead.
So the uphill side, the study, so going up, the recommendation was to do something within 36 months. On the downhill side, the recommendation was to do something within the next year.
It's a must do, and I think that part of it was in the bond issuance, so that was part of the cover. So, yeah, thank you. Thanks. Any other questions? All right, great. All right, well, let's double check the agenda here. I think we're very good.
So I will move to adjourn the meeting?
Move into executive
Move
session.
into executive session,
I will
okay.
second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second to move into executive session. All those in favor, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. We're moving to executive session now.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Yep.